You're tuned in to the Foxboro BeatCast, a podcast for Patriots fans by Patriots fans. And here are your hosts, is Kaleb McChesney and Ryan Moore.
Hello and welcome to the Foxboro BeatCast, everybody. I'm your host, Kaleb McChesney. Alongside me is my co-host, as usual, Ryan Moore. And we have a very special guest today. Boston Globe columnist Chad Finn has entered the Foxboro BeatCast world today, and we are so very happy to have him on. Obviously, you guys saw us yesterday's upload on Thursday, and we had a chance to bring Chad on, so we thought, oh, hey, let's give you a little bit of a bonus episode. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with Chad, I will let him introduce himself instead of me doing it.
Oh boy. I've been at the Globe for a long time. This my 20th anniversary will be in December, but I still kind of feel like a new guy. Yeah, it's hard to believe. I've been a columnist since about 2010, somewhere around there. I've been covering sports media since 2009. And I write the full-page Patriots preview every week. I've done that for the last 12 years. So gearing up here again for another compelling Patriots season to come.
Yeah, hopefully a little bit more interesting than last year. I felt like the wins that we got, we really shouldn't have, and some of the games that we lost, we really shouldn't have taken. Or we shouldn't have lost, like that Vikings game on Thanksgiving or that Bengals game on Christmas Eve. Both looked winnable. But anyways, Chad, again, we're very thankful to have you on, and hopefully we can make this a fun show. And Ryan, I know we just saw each other the other day, but if you have any remarks from the last day or two, feel free to.
Yeah, we were wrong about the Chiefs, man.
Oh yeah, we
were. Start the year.
Oh, I thought they were going to win big. You guys did too.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Dan Campbell, man. Those Lions, they're a fun bunch.
Yeah, I still don't believe it because of him, but I think what we found out is that Mahomes has a receiving cast without Kelsey. That's a lot like the 2019 Patriots. So if Kelsey misses a lot of time, or this knee thing is something that bothers them over the course of the season, this Chiefs team, and with Chris Jones holding out, might not be the one we're used to seeing.
This could be the Chiefs 2006 year for us, when we're coming out of those dynasty years, and all of a sudden Brady's doesn't have a receiver that you can name, and it's a little bit of a disaster. But
they traded Deion Branch right before the season started too.
True, it's true. Yeah,
he was holding out. Yeah, they got a first-round pick for him, but they used it on Brandon Merriweather. So I don't know if they won that deal or not.
I mean, we got Deion Branch back a couple of years later anyway. So
yeah.
They probably win the Super Bowl in 2006 if they still have him, but they didn't want to pay him, and he got his money in Seattle. They just never replaced him on the roster, and they had lost, not to go too far back, but they also lost David Givens that year. And we always talk about the Patriots' inability to develop receivers, justifiably, but they hit in the 7th round with Edelman, who was a gift, and before that they hit with Givens in the 2002 draft, and he caught a touchdown in 7 straight playoff games, which to me is just a remarkable stat. So to lose both him and Branch after that 2005 season, that was that was a Belichick mistake going into 2006 not to replace those two guys.
Yeah. Well, didn't they try to they drafted Chad Jackson in the 2nd round that year, right?
Brutal.
That didn't work out. That was brutal.
Yeah, the thing with him was the Patriots talked about how when he interviewed with Belichick, he got up and diagrammed all his stuff on the whiteboard and blew the Patriots away. And then as it turned out, he was one of the laziest players they've ever had. I know he drove Troy Brown crazy. Troy Brown, Patriots guys obviously don't say a whole lot on the record, but Troy Brown would let you know if something wasn't going to work. You could tell, and he was that way with Chad Jackson, and he was that way with Bethel Johnson a few years later. No, a few years earlier, he was in the 03 draft, and just that these guys weren't putting in the time to win Brady over. So they know which guys are going to make it, which ones aren't, long before we do.
Absolutely. But speaking of those dynasty days, there's a certain quarterback coming back to Gillette Stadium this weekend. Tom Brady. Me and Ryan discussed it on Thursday. It should be a big celebration. Obviously, we saw what Bob Kraft said a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, where it's going to be special and unique, the celebration that they have in store for him. Obviously, they've been pretty tight-lipped. They've wanted to keep this a relatively highly anticipated in-game experience. Obviously, with something like that, you don't really want to, blow it too early. But
give it away.
Yeah, right. But Chad, I mean, what do you make of this event? Do you have any concerns about how Brady will be received by the fans after the stint in Tampa? And what kind of capacity could we see Brady being involved with New England coming in, in his next chapter of post-retirement life?
Yeah, it's gonna be. The second part first. I don't know. I mean, he's not around here too often, but he seems to be hanging around the game. He's everybody saw the little viral video with Jimmy G before the Raiders preseason game a while ago. But he said go out and ruin their night or something like that. Obviously going to be around the game as an owner at some point, a part owner. I still think he's going to do the Fox thing. He seems to really be preparing for it. There's a lot of skepticism that he ever does it. I'm not one of those people. I think he just wants to get it right. And he says things like, I'm not going to be good right away, which tells me he's serious about it. And that he wants to, he doesn't want to be one of those guys like Drew Brees or Joe Montana who wasn't prepared for it. They both were more studio
Drew Brees on the mic was horrible.
Yeah, Montana was a lot sooner too. Just no personality came across in an NBC studio show. Brady, he's going to be a game analyst, which is a different beast, but he clearly wants to get it right. I believe he's going to do it, but I don't know how often he's going to be around New England. I guess it depends what his relationship is with the Raiders or with if he becomes involved with a different team at some point. It feels like he's still kind of searching for exactly what that thing is going to be after football. Maybe it's broadcasting. I think he looks at Peyton Manning and says, that's a hell of a blueprint right there. With the Manning cast and the success of that, and Peyton's production company, Omaha Productions, and all sorts of things that he has going on. He has a really interesting path, and I think Brady is hoping to develop that too. I just don't think he is quite certain which direction it's going to go yet. In terms of the event on Sunday, I don't know. They've really done a nice job keeping under wraps. Ty Law said a lot of guys are going to be back on WEI the other morning. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of familiar faces and maybe some we haven't seen in a long time. And just a programming note, maybe people would like to know. This isn't going to air on CBS. So if you want to watch it, you have to go to Patriots.com to watch it live and it's in its entirety. They may show some on the CBS National halftime show, but they won't show all of it. And the league is only allowing Channel 4 in Boston to show, and Channel 38 in Boston to show 90 seconds of it post game. So if you want to watch it, you got to go to Patriots.com if you're not in the building.
Yeah, obviously, I saw the tickets for that homecoming game for nosebleeds. It was like $400, but were
you looking to buy some?
No, I was just curious.
Curiosity.
I was looking into next week against the Dolphins because I love those red throwbacks, and I think the Dolphins are a fun team to watch. But you speak of Brady's like different ventures. I don't know if you saw this just this week. He signed up to be a strategic advisor for Delta Airlines.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Like, I think with the little clip that I saw, and Ryan, I don't know if you saw it. He was on like Good Morning America, and he was with the the owner or the head of Delta Airlines is like, oh yeah, well, Brady all through his career has known a lot about leadership and what's good leadership, what's bad leadership, and we're going to try to bring that to Delta. And then Brady doesn't really know much about aerospace and travel and all that fun jazz as far as like the ins and outs of airplane departments. But I mean, if a company like that can just tap into even a little bit of a leadership, maybe we can see some better experiences flying by air, because I know every time I go to the airport, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I have to go to Logan today. Unbelievable. But
Yeah, if he has the power to fix the traffic map in Boston, then he's even greater than I thought he was. But he's made some weird choices, like what he endorses and stuff like that. Was it Avis? Is that the car rental place? He has some
yep.
kind of annoying commercials with those. Yeah, he says yes to things now that you're kind of surprised that that's what he's partnering up with, but they just must be throwing stacks and stacks of cash at him to do these things.
Yeah, and then obviously he had the cryptocurrency thing that absolutely blew up in everybody's faces. I think he lost pretty close to like $10 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he and all kinds of people. Yeah, Curry, Giselle, pretty much anybody associated with what was it, STX, the Sam Bankman-Fried one there. But yeah, I mean, that sounds like still a sticky situation, that there could be some consequences down the road. So I don't know. I mean, Brady gets, lured, maybe is too strong of a word, but gets involved with some curious things sometimes. Still the Alex Guerrero relationship. I guess you have to say, because Brady played to age 46 at a very high level still at the end, that the pliability and all that worked for him in the TB12 stuff, but still doesn't detract from the fact that Guerrero's kind of got a shady background in some respects, and you kind of wonder if Brady was following the wrong guy there for a long time. Certainly seemed like Belichick felt like that. There was the battle with having him on the sideline and on team planes and locker room, things like that. So yeah, Brady, as smart as he is and savvy and rich, makes some strange decisions sometimes.
Yeah, and all I'll say about Alex Guerrero is if he could do the same magic on my boy Jimmy Garoppolo that he did for Tom Brady, I will be ecstatic. I already have my my Garoppolo Raiders jersey hanging in the closet.
Still your guy, huh?
Absolutely, I am loyal to a fault to Jimmy Garoppolos and Mac Joneses of the world. But obviously, I pitched a question of fan reception. Obviously, when he came back to play against the Patriots in 21. I don't want to say it was a mixed reaction. I think when he first came out, it was very strong and positive. And but as soon as the game kicked on, they were booing him and all that crap. But
exactly as it should be, right?
Yeah, right.
Ovation, and then he's the opponent.
Do we have any concerns about fan reception in Gillette, or do we think it's going to be as positive as ever?
I think under every circumstance, it's going to be extremely positive, but there might be a different undertone to it depending on how the game is going. It can be, we love you, Tom. Thanks for, the amazing 2 decades. Or it could be if they're down 20-3 at halftime, which I don't expect, but it's possible. It could be, Tom, come back and play the second half, please. So either way, he's going to get beyond a huge reception. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be what he deserves. And he's not in a different uniform now. He's going to be associated with the team he should be associated with, and it's going to be a great party.
So the pressure isn't on Tom Brady on Sunday for this celebration. The pressure's on Mac Jones.
Yeah, Mac. Well, yeah. Hopefully, not too much pressure from that Eagles defensive line, because that's the kind of pressure he should be worrying about. Not necessarily the pressure that comes with being an NFL quarterback in any market. But yeah, it's I guess those two things are are tied together, because I think I'm a believer in Mac. I thought the whole Zappy thing was absurd, and that was
so did we.
validated. And I'm a believer in him, but every quarterback's got to have a chance. They got to have a chance to make a play, and we just don't know what the condition of this offensive line is yet. Seems Orlando Brown, Trent Brown is engaged, and he's the most talented offensive lineman. So if he's interested this year, and he just seemed like he didn't give a damn about what Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, anybody said last year, that's a good start. He's got the blind side. If Onwenu and Strange can play after basically missing all of camp, Onwenu did, and Strange got hurt in day one, and they're out there, all right, you got the makings of a decent line with Andrews at center, and you figure it out at right tackle. You got a little time to do that. But, if those two guards aren't ready to go, or if they're too rusty, and, this Eagles pass rush, even though they've lost some guys from last year and added Jalen Carter, but some talent has gotten away. If they overwhelm them, could be a long day for Max. So these guys got to stand up right away.
Ryan, before we move on to the full blown nostalgia, where we talk about some of our favorite Tom Brady era moments of these Patriot teams, do you have any thoughts on this? Any further thoughts on this halftime event?
Yeah. I actually had a question for Chad. Did they ever say about what Calvin Anderson was dealing with in the offseason? Because he went on the NFI and then with an illness.
Yeah, we never found out. They kept it private, and they said it really took a toll on him, whatever it was. Not something that was to be trifled with, to be messed around with.
Right.
So, they have reasons for keeping that stuff private. And I think as a reporter, you're curious, but you
Right.
also understand when they don't want to share that kind of information. It's personal, and I guess it's just a blessing here that he looks like he's going to be okay to go now.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really glad he's able. It reminded me of Jamie Collins. I remember in 2015 he had like that where he missed like a month of the season due to like just some mystery illness or whatever.
Yeah, he was just out of there. Yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah.
those things happen. And
Yeah.
the personal medical stuff they really keep private, and I think that's fine.
They should. Yeah.
Yep.
I was just wondering because we were kept in the dark about it.
The worst case situation that I've heard where a player gets illness is Antonio Garcia in the 2017 class. We didn't really know what happened to him that first training camp. He missed the whole season. Then he comes back. I think he has like one or two practices and he gets sick again. And he was pretty quickly out of the league.
He lost a ton of weight. Yeah, he was a third-round pick, right? Pretty high.
Yeah, that was a brutal draft class between him, Derek Rivers, and
I mean, it's kind of not really any of their faults, right? Like Garcia, the illness. Derek Rivers tore his ACL that preseason, if I remember correctly.
I think he tore his ACL twice.
Yeah.
And then
McDermott was like a 6th-round pick, and he's still in the league today. So
is Rivers still in the league? I saw him somewhere in camp this year.
Yeah, he was in Houston.
Is he still there? Did he stick?
Yeah, I think I didn't see him get cut or anything.
That's good. He was a good kid.
But all right, let's dive right into the fun part here as we move on from career-ending illnesses. Obviously, Brady's return brings back a lot of memories for all of us, a lot of great ones in particular. Let's have an open forum here and share some of our favorite Brady moments from 2001 to 2019. I mean, it could be one, it could be multiple. This is the time to reminisce on the good old days before we have the harsh wake up call. But Ryan, let's start with you. What are some Brady moments that come to mind for you when you think about his tenure as a Patriot and everything that comes with it?
Well, I think I'll start with some of my favorite just childhood memories of him. And it comes from the 2007 season, Sunday Night Football, Buffalo Bills. The avalanche that him and Randy Moss put on the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo to this day remains one of my favorite football games ever. And it might be my hatred of Buffalo talking, but I I loved just seeing the Patriots rinse Buffalo so badly that I'm pretty sure Buffalo didn't even get like a Sunday Night Football game after that until like 2020 or something like that. It literally like 13 years that NBC like left Buffalo in the dark because Tom Brady and the New England Patriots rinsed them so badly. That to me would have to be my favorite. Obviously in 2009 there's the snow game versus Tennessee. Come on, another like you gotta love blowouts. You love
You like
seeing.
the snow games, huh?
Oh, I love. Who doesn't love snow games? Come on, like this isn't even like one like a Brady game, but like the Eagles Lions game. I remember from 2013, where it was a blizzard. That was awesome.
Oh yeah,
But
Shady McCoy and Calvin Johnson getting
yeah,
fistfuls of snow in their face mask.
yeah, who doesn't love that? It's so much fun. But yeah, I obviously gravitate towards some blowouts, but the most iconic Tom Brady memory will always be Super Bowl 49 in my eyes, because he was the most scrutinized athlete in the world coming into that game. It was Deflategate this, Deflategate that. Did he cheat? Is this ring tarnished? Blah 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 blah. They blocked out the noise, and they ended up having one of the greatest wins in sports history versus a team that should have been a dynasty in Seattle, and ripped their hearts out.
Yeah,
And
that was my first Super Bowl win as a
yeah,
fan. I
it
wasn't
was
I
mine
wasn't I
too.
was barely conscious the first three. I was born a month after the first one, and then sorry to make you feel old there, Chad.
I covered the first one.
And I didn't. I had
I was
nothing to
one
do with
in 2002.
the other two, but yeah, that Seattle win was probably like the most satisfying win
Yeah,
of my time as a fan, and that was pretty early on. I didn't start watching till after the second Giants loss in Indianapolis.
yeah. Just that feeling of being a Patriots fan that next day. Everyone was giving you the screws like for the past couple of weeks, saying you cheer for cheaters this, you cheer for cheaters that. And it's just like, well, yeah, this is what we do with inflated footballs. We still win. We're still champs. We're still the best team in the league. We had
No,
the
no.
greatest quarterback ever. Weren't
Imagine
them.
living with like a Peyton Manning super fan
Oh
like me
God.
with my mom. Just unbelievable. I hopped off the Patriots wagon at just the wrong time because she chose Bledsoe over Brady.
Uh,
Then went right to Peyton and Indy.
It's like investing in NFTs.
pretty close.
Oh my.
Yeah, I was going to mention that Seattle one too because I think it's underrated. First of all, well, I may have told you this story before, Caleb, but I was covering this game for the Globe in
Yeah.
person. I missed the Malcolm Butler interception because when you're on deadline, you're writing, you kind of have to have two stories going at once, win or lose, when the game is close at the end. And so I'm sitting there typing away and feel like I got the rhythm down to kind of look up when the play's about to happen. And I did not have the rhythm. And I heard this roar, like it registered like that does not sound like a Seattle touchdown. And just look up, and then Malcolm's being swarmed by everybody as he runs off the field. Bursts into tears like he did. And that aside, that game jumps out to me because I think it's underrated from the Brady standpoint, being down 10 points fairly late in that game to a team that has the potential to have an all-time defense, that has probably does have an all-time defense, and just did not give up leads like that. And for him to go out and take that game back with all that was on his shoulders from the Deflategate stuff was remarkable. And I think most people, maybe that, football fans, not necessarily Patriots fans, would look at Brady's career and say, well, it's coming back from 28-3. That's the defining moment. It's not. I think it's beating that Seattle team, ending that, it was 9 seasons without winning a Super Bowl. Everybody says 10, but it was actually 9 in between. And really setting off the start of the second phase of the dynasty. Obviously 28-3 is cool. For me, I grew up a Patriots fan, never really figured that they would be a fraction of what they became. You hope that they would maybe win a Super Bowl someday. And so when they pulled it off in 2001 with a team that nobody expected to be anything, and you thought going into the season Drew Bledsoe was probably their franchise player, he just got the $103 million contract, and for it to unfold the way it did after just the 2000 roster of that team was a complete mess. Belichick had to clean up an incredible salary cap mess and a roster shortage of just competent NFL players. And he did it in 1 year. And for them to win and Brady to be so cool on that final drive, win over John Madden, spike the ball and have it come right back up to him right before Vinatieri's field goal, that was remarkable. And, one other that crossed my mind, we could do this all day, but in defeat, I thought the loss to the Broncos in 2015 was the toughest I've ever seen a quarterback be on the field, other than maybe when the Giants beat the daylights out of Joe Montana back in the day, before they actually knocked him out and cost him a season and, started the Steve Young run there. Brady just took an absolute pounding that day from Von.
I think it was like 23 quarterback hits.
Yeah. And still, they could have won the game. I think he was concussed at the end because he had Gronk wide open for that 2-point conversion, and I just didn't see him after hitting Gronk down the seam for that incredible catch.
And in the back of the end zone for that touchdown.
That's the game I'd show people if they said, well, Brady's, pretty boy and, not tough, just a great passer or whatever. That's as tough as you can possibly be on the football field, the way he was that day.
I've always hated that narrative. Brady's not tough. Like,
that's just stupid. I mean, you don't know what you're talking about if you say that.
Outside of the ACL tear in 2008, how many games did he ever miss due to injury?
None.
Well, screaming didn't help him with that when he hurt his knee. But he's incredibly durable. Yeah, and played through things we didn't know about, and ripping up his hand, handing off to Rex Burkhead.
Yep.
I mean, that you see the picture what that gash looked like is the one that could even grip the football.
That's on his throwing hand, and he went against an elite defense
without Gronk,
beat them. Like,
yeah.
But we're talking about he can't take a hit. He's Karen Brady, like all this stuff like that. Like, yeah, okay, come on, let's grow up. You don't play stupid. You don't play a 45 if you're not tough. You're getting hit by 300-pound men for a living.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So ridiculous.
Who was the guy, the Buffalo defensive back, that just blew him up early in his career? It wasn't.
Where his helmet came off. Oh,
like
God.
Safety or corner. Forget it.
It wasn't Winfield. Dante Whitmer, maybe? No, it wasn't him.
Let me look at that.
He got wrecked. He just gets up
and chart.
Yeah, readjusts his head.
2002, right?
2002 Bills depth. I know which hit you're talking about. He runs to the outside and he tries to slide and he just gets killed. Absolutely killed.
Yes.
Helmet goes 10 yards backwards.
Yeah, that hits an 8-game suspension nowadays.
There's Antoine Winfield. There's Nate Clemens.
Clemens, that's who it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the call now. I can hear it. Clemens just lit up Brady. Yeah.
Yeah. One Brady hit I remember him taking that was a monstrous hit was from Elvis Doomerville.
Oh yeah, he got lifted off the ground.
Yeah.
But was he with the Ravens or Denver?
Denver.
It's like 2009.
2011. It might have been 2009. It was one of the it was like 2009, 2010, 2011, one of those years. I don't know if you watch wrestling, Chad, but he basically took like the spear. It's a spear. A monstrous hit.
Some of my favorite Brady moments come from maybe a season we all don't really love, that 2013 year. I think there are 3 different comebacks that I could think of off the top of my head that are like if I could have a picture on the wall of my favorite Patriots games, 3 of them would be from 2013. The first one being that Saints drive to Kenbrell Tompkins in the back of the end zone, just that perfect strike, and the drive leading up to it, hitting Edelman, Austin Collie, fortunately keeping him away from concussions better than Peyton Manning did, and Danny Amendola. And all of a sudden, Brady drops back, hits it perfectly in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown, and Zoe loses his mind on the call.
That day is in Boston sports lore too, because later on that night, David Ortiz hit the game-tying grand slam against Detroit.
Yeah, I was at Fenway when that Thompson touchdown happened. Yeah, we're watching it in the press box.
And then there was the 24-0 comeback against Denver when it was freezing cold and everybody was fumbling the ball. And I think Brady was getting killed in that one too. And all of a sudden, halftime comes on. My story is my dad didn't let me stay up late for these games when I was 11 years old. I was in Mr. Boucher's class, I think, when that game went down. And my dad gave me like this boombox radio for my birthday, and it had a headphone jack. So I'm not allowed to watch it. So I'm sitting here in my bed with this boombox radio, like it's the 1960s, with my headphones on, listening to Zoe and Sosi on the call.
Wow.
When it's 24-0, it's freezing cold in my room because it's freezing cold in Gillette Stadium, and I'm sitting here under my blankets, and I'm like, all right, this time to get it going, and I'm hearing on the radio, oh, the ball's still out, and who comes up with it? It's like Ninkovich, and then Edelman with the touchdown, and then Brady going insane to Gronk. That was probably the moment where I really grew a respect for sports radio, to tell you the truth, because Zoe and Sosi were perfect on that call. And I still, go back and listen to bits and pieces of it that I could find on YouTube. They were fantastic. And it was a brutal morning the next morning because I didn't go to bed till like 1 or 2, and I'm like 11. And then there was the Cleveland.
Talk over him?
What's that?
Zoe didn't talk over him.
I mean, that's what Zoe does. That's what makes that dynamic so good, because Sosi will be so eloquent in how he's delivering this game, and then Zoe just loses his absolute mind when there's a 20-yard play. The other one being the Cleveland Browns game, and I know that a lot of people don't have fond memories of this one because that's when TJ Ward hack-a-gronked Rob Gronkowski and destroyed his knee. We didn't get Gronk back until, I don't think he played the start of the 2014 season. I don't think he was in Miami, and if he was, he was in a very limited role.
I think he came back for the Raiders game.
Well, the week 3. Okay,
it was week 3. I think he came back that week.
And then, right,
if I remember correctly, it was 9 years ago, man.
Yeah, no, they were down 10 or 13 or 14 points with like less than 3 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and Brady is again playing with Julian Edelman before he really becomes Julian Edelman. A Danny Amendola signing that wasn't looking like it was panning out how we thought it would.
Yeah, not at first. No, people didn't like him.
And Kenbrell Tompkins and Aaron Dobson. Like, this was not a man-beating offense by any means. Huma Nawanui was our tight end 1 at that point, with Gronk going down. And Brady just wills that team to a comeback in a game that they probably shouldn't have won. I mean, they had Jason Campbell and Josh Gordon just absolutely lighting us up all game long. And my funny anecdotal with this game is my dad took me into Rochester, New Hampshire as this game is going on. And again, I'm listening to it on the radio, and we go into this mall or whatever to do the shopping or whatever that we were doing. And in Kmart, they had these like TVs in the back, and they had the game going. So I immediately ditched my dad, and I'm going to the electronics department to watch this game on this TV, bigger than anything that I've ever seen. And that was an intense moment as a fan. And then I'm still sitting there, and Brady's doing his press conference in that ridiculous sweater with the huge buttons of the of this like white threaded sweater here. It looks like something my Nana would wear. But
Listen, Brady can pull it off.
He did. He looked really good. But and then the rest of that 2013 season. I mean, me and Ryan talked about this on Thursday. That team was a lot of heart, and you had to respect it. Just how much how little talent they really had that was really there. Like, it was Dante Hightower and Chandler Jones' second year in the league. The cornerback room was not great. I mean, they had Aqib Talib. They had just brought in from Tampa.
Talib, Alfonso Denard.
Alfonso Denard, yeah. It was the first year without Welker.
Right. He wiped out Talib in the playoff game.
Yeah, and Belichick gave him like the meanest stare that I think I've seen Belichick give.
He's still mad at him.
That's why he'll
Belichick
never
was
be
infuriated after that championship game because like Welker like cracked Aqib Talib and knocked him out of the game.
Yeah. That game, I remember Brady was throwing passes to Matthew Slater and Matthew Mulligan, tight end.
Matt Mulligan. Yeah, that's a core memory too.
Yeah, Peyton had every advantage in that one.
You know what I'll always say, and some people have looked at me crazy, but if the 2013 Patriots somehow made it to that Super Bowl, they still would have gave 10 times more of a fight against that legendary Seattle team than the Broncos did that day. They might have lost, but like they probably would have lost, honestly. That Seattle team was a buzzsaw. But Brady, every single time Tom Brady steps on the field, you just believe. It's all heart with him.
Yeah, that game was no contest. Pats would have shown up.
Yeah, the second the snap went over Peyton's head, and when Demaryius Thomas got crushed by Cam Chancellor, I was like, yeah, this is Seattle's just it's just they're boat racing them. It's over.
I tend to agree. I think a couple of different things because I don't think Brady is just going to lie down like Peyton did. As much as he set the did he set the completions record in the Super Bowl? Did he set the yards too, or was it just the completions?
Brady's got like every Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I mean, in that game with Peyton, did he set that record at that point, or was it just completions, or was it yards too?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know he set the completions record because there was a lot of garbage time, but
could have.
Brady had the yardage for the Eagles game, right?
Yeah, it was like 505, and maybe Hurts beat that. I can't remember.
No, Hurts never did. Hurts might have had maybe more total yardage.
I think he might have came close, but that he was a monster in that Super Bowl in Arizona. But Brady wouldn't have lied down like Peyton did after that snap. I mean, 43-8, unbelievable. And I think another part of that is when Belichick is just way too good of a coach to just let something stupid like that happen, especially in 2013. I mean, say what you will about Belichick's personnel decisions and some of the coaching staff decisions of the last couple of years. In 2013, I mean, I don't think anybody would deny that Belichick had his fastball. I mean, in that area of time, he had just went 11-5 with Matt Castle in 2008.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brady masks a lot of deficiencies, as we said with this offense. Like, it was Austin Collie and Amendola and Edelman before he became Edelman, Matthew Mulligan and Huma Nawanui. That was not a great playoff offense, and that defense was still very young in a traditional period. I think people don't they get that defense got good quick, but a lot of people don't realize that a lot of those key players on that team were only second or third year players, or even first year players. But I think Belichick just wouldn't have let that game get out of hand so quickly as the Broncos did. And that's a testament. Maybe that's more of a shot at John Fox than it is a testament to Bill Belichick. But
a shot at just Peyton. Honestly, it could be a shot at Peyton Manning too, because he let that happen to him a lot in this playoffs. If you knocked him off quickly and knocked him off his game, it was wraps. He wasn't coming back.
Did the Colts bounce him in 2014?
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember too much about that game, but
I remember. Obviously, I wasn't like watching the Patriots then because I was a toddler. But like, you look at like how the Colts campaigned around the league to get the rules changed because Ty Law would just come in and basically physically assault Marvin Harrison at the line. Is the Colts couldn't do anything when they went to Foxborough. It was over. You're not throwing against them. And New England would just boat race the Colts out of the building. It was, oh man, I love it. Like, kind of missed that. That might be my most boomer take. Bring back physicality with cornerbacks. Bring back legal assault at the line of scrimmage.
Obviously, Chad, you have a little bit more of an insight on that first dynasty team. Me and Ryan talked a lot about the second dynasty with the 2018 Patriots, the 2016 and 2014. What do you have any like core memories of a lot of those early teams, or any anecdotals or good stories about the early Brady years before he maybe became the all-around elite quarterback that he became, I think, in 2004 after he won that third one. I think after he won the third, it was Brady is a main staple. There's no question about it to the league as a whole.
Well, he was just a kid. I mean, when he got here, I think he's the only person in the world who ever thought he was actually going to play for the Patriots, because Drew was in the prime of his very good but imperfect career, and just at that point he was the fourth Kraft son, that Brady eventually kicked him out of the family and became that guy. But nobody had expectations of him. He was known because he played at Michigan and had some success there, but he's basically known unfairly and inaccurately as the guy who always got pulled for Drew Henson. It wasn't really the case. Brady came in and saved the day quite a bit in college, which the Patriots quarterback coach Dick Rabine passed away in the 01 season, told Belichick and kind of clued him in. The two guys they were looking at in the sixth round in that draft were Brady and Tim Rattay, who they almost brought back when Brady got hurt in 2008, but kind of had a journeyman career. But yeah, Brady was just he was a kid and kind of acted like it. He worked really hard, but you see those pictures of him back then. He's much thinner now, I guess, or not as
prioritized.
More of a celebrity body there than
well, he would eat like onion rings, before the game. And
he was a little close.
Like,
he was a little closer to me early in his career, I think.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, he always went out. He went out. He hung out with Laura Malloy a lot, who is a guy who's in the gossip pages quite a bit. Great guy, really good player here. We know how it ended, but I think he's really remembered well by Patriots fans. But he and Brady were close right away, and that was back when Brady could go out and have a normal human life. I remember Tom Curran, who was on NBC Sports Boston. He went out for a drink with Brady once when he was just a young quarterback. Curran and his brother went out with him, and just had a beer and talked about Patriots things. And it's just that sort of thing is beyond unimaginable for Brady now.
You would not catch him in a bar with more than 4 people, and those 4 people are also A-list celebrities.
Yeah, can't do it. I mean, it changed for him after the first Super Bowl. He's on the cover of everything. He's Sports Illustrated. He's got shirtless holding the football like that after they win. Before long, he's posing with goats, the actual animal, not the greatest of all times. And, the fame blew up there in 03 and 04 in particular when they, made it 3 out of 4. And he emerged as an incredible player in his own right, not just somebody who was really smart on the field, but maybe limited, which is what he was in 2001. You go back and look at his stats on that Super Bowl. They're not spectacular. He was great on the last drive, but it was not. That game was running game and defense. But he emerged as the greatest player in NFL history, and that really began in 03 and 04. That 02 season was disappointing because they had a chance to sneak in at the end. They started out really well, kind of fell apart in the middle, had a chance to sneak in at the end. They needed the Jets to beat Green Bay or Green Bay to beat the Jets, something like that. And Brett Favre no-showed basically, and they didn't get in on the last day. But
that's the worst thing Brett Favre's ever done.
yeah, it's on the top 100. Yeah, but 03 it really turned around. I mean 07's the best team they ever had. Nobody's ever going to say that because they didn't win the Super Bowl. But 04 to me is second best. That team was absolutely loaded. They were screwing around playing Troy Brown in the defensive backfield and Hank Poteet and Earthwind Moreland and guys like that.
Vrabel at tight end.
They could just do whatever they wanted. That team was so good.
And I was telling Ryan this on the podcast on Thursday. That 04 team was the best team that won the Super Bowl. Hands down to me. I know that 2016.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
If you put like 2016 versus 2004, like in a head-to-head on Madden, 2016 might have an edge because a lot of those guys are just a little bit more athletic and better athletes, because 12 years later, technology, and we know a little bit more, and obviously humans develop. But that 04 team was just absolutely loaded, top to bottom. You had a great quarterback with a great wide receiver. You had a great running game with Corey Dillon. You had
best season a Patriot running backs ever had.
It's true.
And I'm a smart guy.
And obviously that defense, I mean, we could just run down that depth chart just off the top of my head. Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis, Ty Law, Rodney Harrison, just unbelievably stacked. And then you have the wide receivers talking a little bit of garbage about our corners. So I don't even know who's covering me. I couldn't name a single one.
You know who I really liked on those teams, even though his career didn't really pan out, and he had a bad injury early. I was a big Eugene Wilson fan. Remember him? Yeah. He could really play when they moved him from corner to safety to start at the beginning of his career. But he could hit, he could cover anybody. He had a groin injury that just messed him up, and he wasn't durable, and his career ended sooner than it should have. But he's just one of those guys who always pops to mind when I think about those teams because, they didn't know what they were going to do in 03 when they cut Malloy. They knew Harrison was in that spot at safety, but I can't remember who started at the other safety spot. It was somebody who wasn't here very long. And then they slid Wilson over there, and he was fantastic until, injuries started taking their toll pretty quickly.
Yeah,
it's a random one.
I'm trying to pull up the safety who also played over there. Obviously, you had Rodney and Eugene.
Was it Chris Akers, something like that? There was a different guy who started week 1 against Buffalo. It wasn't Wilson. And they eventually moved Wilson there. But it was somebody who wasn't here very long.
Yeah, he's not even on the Pro Football reference page. They don't even have if he's on here, he's not listed as a safety. You got corners like Dexter Reed, Hank Poteet, Tyrone Poole, Earthwind Moreland. That's an interesting name. Sean Mayer, Omer Lowe, Gerard Cherry. Like they're all listed as DBs for this 2004 Patriots team.
I remember all of them. Sean Mayer had to play in the Carolina Super Bowl because everybody got hurt. If that game went one more quarter, they would have been in trouble.
Yeah, me and Ryan also talked about that. That 2003 Super Bowl, probably the most underrated football game out there, I think. I don't know.
It was nothing in the first half, and then it exploded in the second half.
God, they just didn't want to tell me who it was. Eric Morris?
It was Chris Akins in 03. That's who I was thinking of.
Chris Akins, yep.
Yep. He started the first game. He played 12 games. No, he actually wasn't listed as a starter.
He played 12 games, but he didn't start one. That's interesting. A little bit of a journeyman career before that. I mean, 4 years. That's it. But yeah, that 2003 game, I mean, Ryan said it on the show on Thursday. That's a game that he enjoys going back to and watching.
The football. You wouldn't expect like a Jake Delhomme is popping off. Like he is out there kind of looking like Brady versus Brady, but at the end of the day, the the GOAT prevailed. The Panthers though, they were such a good team that year. Really good team.
And they were a
had a
young
great
team too.
defensive line.
I think that was like the second year into their expansion.
Yeah.
Like they were still a very young team.
The Panthers. Oh no, the Panthers have been in the NFL since like the mid-90s. So.
Oh, okay, but I mean, still,
The
2003.
Texans were the 2002 expansion.
But 2003, I mean, that's still not far.
Oh,
removed.
it's like 8 years
young
old
team.
at that point.
Yeah.
It'd be like the Texans made the Super Bowl in like 2010. So yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Another thing I was gonna bring up, and this is just a testament to Brady's greatness and just a tribute to someone that passed away not too long ago. John Madden, Week 1, 2002, Patriots, Steelers, said, in a lot of ways, I can't really do the Madden impression. In a lot of the ways, though, Tom Brady reminds me of Joe Montana. He's really calm, he's poised, makes all the right decisions. And right as he says that, Tom Brady throws a touchdown. I was like, man, dude, John Madden was a really because Brady was still kind of an unknown, obviously he wasn't coming up the Super Bowl. But going into the year, he is a bit of an unknown still as a quantity. It'd be like if Brock Purdy won the Super Bowl for the 49ers. You still don't really know what this guy is yet. He's coming off a ring. And John Madden's just casually out here just calling a shot, saying, oh, yeah, this guy's basically the next Joe Montana. And then Brady kind of doubled up Joe Montana's legacy. Wow. What just incredible stuff.
And obviously, just 6 months before that game happened, John Madden is screaming into his microphone, "But you gotta play for overtime. I wouldn't do anything dangerous." Yeah.
Yeah, but he ate his word. He willingly ate his words when that drive ended. That's just a spectacular call by
absolutely.
Summerall and Madden.
Every year. I posted.
It was the last game they ever called together.
No kidding.
Yep. Yeah, Summerall retired after that first win.
I wonder how that would come. That's a conversation for a different day. How that compares to Collinsworth and Michael's last call in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Obviously, that game wasn't as legacy building as the 2001 Super Bowl because the Rams obviously petered out and the Bengals are good, but still haven't gotten back to the big dance. But I think we had a great nostalgia session here. So to close off the show, I would let's talk about what's on our minds on the forefront right now. The Patriots are obviously a far cry from the glory days that we just took a solid half hour to 45 minutes discussing, which I loved. But Bill Belichick is still the head coach. We brought back some familiar faces like Bill O'Brien and Adrian Clem. But what do we think about this 2023 Patriots team in a general sense as we kind of zoom out and look at them? Are they good enough to compete for a playoff spot or the AFC East or a Super Bowl? Do we have any reasonable expectations we want to give out? Chad, I'll start with you.
I picked them to win 10 games and make the playoffs, but don't ask me to tell you which 10 games they're going to win because that schedule's brutal. I was just going through it for my media column, looking at what channels, networks they were going to appear on from week to week this season, and just going through, and it's Cowboys, Chiefs, Steelers. It's rough, and they're going to have to beat several teams that are perceived right now as being better than them. But I think they're better than the national pundits or whatever you want to call them believe. It's actually underestimated what a debacle the offense was last year. We know around here, but the magnitude of it, it's probably the biggest mistake that Bill Belichick's made, maybe even including burying Malcolm Butler in the Eagles Super Bowl. Just Matt Patricia wasn't up to the job, and he's a abrasive, arrogant guy, and it set back your second year, first round pick quarterback by a full season in a year that would really be key for evaluation. Should have been. And it was just uphill all year. And now you have at least a competent to good offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien, who knows the personnel, who's going to coach to his players' strengths rather than the minuscule playbook that Patricia himself could handle. When you hear Devin McCourty say that just wasn't going to work, it wasn't going to work at all, or however he put it the other day about Patricia, and Devin McCourty, quintessential Patriot.
Oh yeah, he toes that party line really, really well.
But he's been a little bit more outspoken since he started the media thing here, but it was still kind of surprising to hear him acknowledge how bad the Patricia decision was perceived within the locker room last year. Just getting away from that is going to help. They could have won 10 games last year if not for the lateral against the Raiders. And, you mentioned the Vikings team too. I didn't think of that, but the Bengals game with Stevenson's fumble with 59 seconds left.
The Bills game at the end of the year with the two kick return touchdowns. I mean, if you just play adequate special teams and Cam Accord isn't be doing Cam Accord things, that team probably makes it to the playoffs just on that game alone.
It's shocking based on how the offense was and the incompetence of the guy running it. And, so everything's in place this year. I think their roster's better. I think, they don't have a star receiver, but I think these guys complement each other well. And if Jones can be the guy who throws to the open guy and doesn't force things and makes the right decision most of the time, then this is going to be a good team. But it's just difficult to project how many games they're going to actually win because the schedule is just it's brutal. Or at least it looks that way right now.
I think on our predictions on the show 2 weeks ago or last week, I said the Patriots were going 9-8. I don't remember what Ryan said. Did you have a?
I think it was either 9-8 or 10-7.
Gotcha.
Which has always been how
we're also pretty optimistic. I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this team's going to bottom out, go 6-11, 5-12." They just don't see it.
That's not happening.
Like you, I think Belichick is way too good of a coach to just bottom out. That team had no business being 8-9 last year, and they were on the back of their defense, and obviously the Cam Newton year, right? I think.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That wasn't a 7-win team. Yeah, that wasn't a 7-win roster that they had. That was a 5-win roster, maybe.
Who knows what might have happened if Cam Newton didn't catch COVID?
Honestly, like that 2020 rosters was so bad. I think if Belichick did one hell of a coaching job that year, and we could talk about the roster state, a personnel decision, blah 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 blah. That's a different conversation for a different day. I do think without Belichick, that team might go like 2-14 type. Like it was really bad, and Cam Newton was pretty bad that year, unfortunately. They didn't even bother with Jarrett Stidham, so like.
What does that tell you about Jarrett Stidham?
Yeah.
He's going to start for the Broncos this year, though.
and then obviously he buried Brian Hoyer under Arrowhead Field.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
just to resurrect him for Mac Jones' sake, and then cut him this offseason, eating money because he this is what Felger said, so take it with a grain of salt. But Felger, when Hoyer first got cut in the spring, he was like, yeah, so apparently Hoyer was telling Mac Jones, don't listen to these two knuckleheads. They don't have no idea what they're doing. And that's why Hoyer got cut. That's why Hoyer got cut this offseason, because he didn't toe the party line.
I believe there's something similar to that. Yeah.
What always confused me about the Matt Patricia thing was, it's one thing, okay, like, yeah, obviously he didn't really know he's not qualified to be an offensive coordinator. He's a defensive guy. What I don't get is they completely overhauled the offensive scheme to try and be some wide zone, like 49ers type scheme. But it's like, you don't have the personnel to do that. You're more of a powerful, traditional offense. And it, the play calling was very rudimentary as well. Like, there's a reason why these Shanahan, McVay types, reads, whatever, like these like flashy offensive play callers, they have such great offenses. It's because they know how to, draw up plays and stuff like that. Matt, you're not you're just not qualified to do that. You never were. That's not your role. And I saw someone say the other day, like, oh, well, Patricia was a placeholder OC for O'Brien and all that. And I'm like, you could have promoted internally, or at least got like one of the offensive guys.
Who was the tight ends coach that just went to Los Angeles?
Nick Caley, I think.
Yeah, you could have thrown him as OC. Like
Troy Brown.
Yeah.
Get a guy that actually knows the offense and knows like how to coach an offense to coach your offense. And that's why I think this Patriots team's the schedule sucks. The roster probably is sadly the fourth best in the AFC East currently. It toss up between them and Miami, I'd say. You could argue either side. But coaching matters a lot. I think having a competent OC and O'Brien who provides structure, it's gonna be a different story this year. And I think there's gonna be a few games where New England will steal. They'll steal a win or two. I don't know who it's versus. It wouldn't shock me if it's versus a few of the AFC's teams they're projected to lose to. Those are rivalry games. They always turn up for those. Yeah, I think better days they're coming. It's not. I don't think it's gonna be bleak like last year. I think it's gonna be a bit more like 2021, and hopefully, if they do make the playoffs, it's a lot better than the disaster of a playoff game that was.
Yeah, that was like one of the few games as a fan that I turned off early because I couldn't take it.
Yeah,
but for me, I think a big thing with this team is obviously we have the new offense. Finally getting some structure back, some professionalism. Mac Jones doesn't have to deal with Joe Judge being like, Marine Corps Joe over here, just acting like he knows everything about everything. Stick him on special teams. That's where he belongs. And hopefully he can be a little bit better than Cam McCord at bare minimum.
Yeah. He was good at it before.
It's true. And then
that's just who he is. He's special. There's nothing wrong with that. Some guys are just better fit for certain roles. It's why, like Josh McDaniels, for example, I'm still not sold on him as a head coach. As an OC, though, there's proven success there.
Yeah, we really took him for granted. When he went to the Raiders, we were like, oh, thank God, we get some creative play calling again.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. And then we get Matt Patricia, who was the exact opposite of creative play calling.
The thing about Josh is I never doubted, like, he when he really gets in his bag, he is like one of arguably the most creative play callers in the league. Like some of the stuff he'll cook up,
against a good
brilliant.
defense.
But then he'll have play sequencing where it's like being conservative when you don't need to be conservative, or being aggressive when you don't need to be aggressive. It's just like, dude, what are you? It's a little bit of what are you doing? But all in all, he's an awesome OC in comparison to Matt Patricia and stuff in the world. Which I mean, low bar, but we took him for granted.
Yeah,
come back, Josh. Well, actually,
so after Bill O'Brien gets a new head coaching job, because I think he's that damn good, but
he'll go out. What he's gonna do? He's gonna go back to Alabama after Saban retires.
That would be.
Don't let him be the GM wherever he goes.
Yeah.
There's some conspiracies about that, Chad. He was purposely tanking to come back here when Kraft fired Belichick.
If that's the case, trade Hopkins in New England or something like that, man.
It's true, yeah. That'd be some real insider cooking. But
yeah,
I agree with a lot of you guys' sentiment. All I really want is some signature games in this new era of Patriots football, like we just talked about. That happened a decade ago. The 2013 Browns game, the 2013 Saints game, the divisional round against the Ravens in 2014. Like Mac has yet to have like this signature moment. And I know Boston Sports Radio loves to like harp on this and like just say Mac is not the guy and we should just get rid of him because he hasn't had a signature moment yet. But I'm willing to give that time. Obviously, I'm a big Mac Jones guy. I got all 3 jerseys hanging up in my closet. But all I want is that signature moment. Prove to me that you can be the guy and not just a guy, because a guy is fine. Like I am perfectly good with having an Andy Dalton, Kirk Cousins type. Not that they're the same. I think Kirk Cousins obviously is
Kirk Cousins is much
monumentally
better than
better.
Andy Dalton.
But let's focus in, I guess, on prime Andy Dalton. I'm okay with a prime Andy Dalton for a certain amount of time while you try to like build something up for a guy like Joe Burrow. But what would really excite me is Mac Jones being the guy and having these comebacks and having these big time moments. Like in my head right now, he has like maybe one comeback win, and that was against Houston his rookie year, and Houston was a dumpster
They're
fire.
terrible.
And then his best game might
he
be
got
against
close with Dallas and Tampa.
That Dallas game was absolutely insane, and that Tampa one, he outplayed Brady that night.
Yeah, that's what made me think he was the guy. I still think he will be too.
I agree. When you wrote that piece not too long ago, I posted it on Foxboro Beat and like, yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. And it was a mixed reaction because people were still calling for Bailey Zappi and whatnot. But the season kicks off on Sunday against Philly. I won't ask for score predictions because I know you have an article that has it.
Trying to remember what I picked.
59-0 New England.
God, wouldn't that
Not
be
this week.
Wonderful? But me and Ryan both said I think I had the Patriots taking the L 31-21, and he had like 35-21.
I think I went 30-24 Eagles, something like that. 30-23, something in that range.
Yeah, so I mean, if the Patriots could just win a game where they have to score like 30 points, I would be. They've got to do that since Brady left.
That was my thinking too.
But with that, I think we've had a fantastic show. Any closing thoughts from anybody before I sign us off here?
Just glad to have football back.
Yeah.
Camp felt like forever, and that felt like training camp took forever this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they have. I'm still a 100% Belichick believer. I think there are some guys on this team that are going to do things that are unexpected right now. I think Kendrick Bourne's going to be their best receiver. I think everybody forgets about Marcus Jones and the element that he brings to the team. I want to see these young guys. I want to see Keon White. I want to see Mapu. I want to see, Christian Gonzalez isn't going to be Sauce Gardner. He's going to have ups and downs, but there's a nice collection of young talent on this roster. I'm looking forward to watching these guys.
Ryan, anything from you?
Well, one, I brought this up just before the show started, but the weather report's looking a little interesting for the Patriots-Eagles game, and might be some storms. Maybe it might be a little messy football game, so we'll see. Might affect
40 carries for Ezekiel Elliott.
How many carries? God, he's on my bench in fantasy. Hopefully, maybe a couple red zone steals, and he could be like Jamal Williams was for the Lions last year.
Would be a shock.
We thank you all for joining us on this special edition of the Foxboro BeatCast, and thank you, Chad, for spending your time with us on a Friday afternoon. We couldn't have had a better first guest, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Do
it.
And don't be a stranger, obviously. Make sure you, the viewer, go to the Boston Globe and boston.com and check out Chad's weekly previews and pieces on not only the Pats, but Boston sports and sports media in general. I've known Chad since he came to my class in the 6th grade, and I started talking to him a senior year of high school. Shout out to Mr. Boucher's class. That's still probably my favorite, class from K to graduating high school. Mr. Boucher's class. He would absolutely
that's good to hear.
Destroy me in basketball at the end of the year. I thought I could keep up with him.
His daughter is a college point guard now, so
no kidding.
Yep.
But
she plays the University of New England.
But obviously, the viewer, go check out Chad's articles and pieces, and make sure you stay in touch with your favorite Boston sports teams. And Ryan, as always, thank you for joining me. You've been a great co-host to me. We will see you all next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow our page on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you follow Chad on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it nowadays, to keep up with him and what he has. He has a couple banger tweets every now and again. And as far as that goes, we will see you all next week. Enjoy week 1.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Foxboro BeatCast. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.